Ministries of Sports and Heritage, the Ministry of ICT, that has been very, very crucial, particularly from an ICT perspective, the Interior Ministry, by providing a number of workers here who have been working with these teams, and also the Ministry of Defense, which has been leading the efforts of the development of this facility. Your Excellency, this facility that now has become Uhuru Gardens Monument and Museum is one of the major and largest facilities in the sub-Saharan Africa. A lot of research has been done, sitting on 68 acres of land and having one of the largest museum facility that we have in the continent. It is therefore a grand project. Today's event is to present this national monument and museum to, as I said, sir, our key stakeholder, the media, both local and international. I'm pleased to announce, Your Excellency, that here we have 52 media houses represented and one international Reuters that will be able to share with the rest of the internationals. We intend, Your Excellency, to make a briefing, two briefings to the distinguished members of the media. One is on the conceptual underpinning of the Uhuru Gardens National Monument and Museum. Secondly, is to speak to the operationalization of this facility. As you know, His Excellency the President commissioned it, and we are looking forward now to the operationalization phase where the public, Kenya public, will be allowed to come in a phased manner. And to do this, Your Excellency, allow me to invite the architect who has designed this project and has been with the project since the 22 months ago. It's a project that has been done at a fast pace within 22 months. And it's important to highlight that a project of this magnitude will take at least 6 years to get to where we are. So Mr. Peter Wasilwa, architect Wasilwa, has been the lead consultant, and therefore he is best placed to brief you on the conceptual underpinning of it and how the museum is. Thereafter, we'll have Kanopio to talk to the operationalization, and hopefully after lunch, we would like to take you through the 16 galleries that are already ready for viewing by the Kenyan public. Architect Wasilwa, please.
Thank you, sir. Your Excellency, sir, thank you. Allow me to start by thanking you for bequeathing this grand monument to the Kenyan people. Sir, thank you for giving us that opportunity to be part of that process. Sir, out of your vision, we distilled 3 strategic objectives which form the core of the brief that is the new Uhuru Gardens. Sir, you instructed us that you wanted a museum of the people whose role will be to foster patriotism, nurture nation building, reconciliation, and preservation of our heritage. Sir, the second big component of the project that you wanted included here was the Garden of the People, whose main aim would be to host all our future national ceremonies. Recreation space, and important as well, environmental conservation. Sir, you further instructed us to consider the Mashujaa Park, whose main objective would be commemoration and remembrance. Sir, the final component of the brief that you gave us was to look at every facet of our history, of our culture, of our heritage, as far back as the paleontological times, archaeological times, colonization, our struggle for independence to date, and into the future. With that brief, Your Excellency, you broke ground on this sacred site in August 2020. And 16 months later, with your constant guidance, we were able to host our 58th Jamhuri Day at these very grounds. Sir, early this year on the 28th of May, a major air show that has never been seen in this region was hosted here, followed by your commissioning, and we also hosted our Madaraka Day here. Some of the important milestones I would want to highlight: this site has hosted over 2,500 people working day and night over the last 22 months. The building is just part of it, but museum making is a lot more than that. Dedicated teams have so far conducted more than 115 thematic interviews. More than 10,000 3D artifacts have been collected. More than 3 million pages of significant documents have been digitized. Almost 100,000 photos and more than 23,000 hours of video. All these to be preserved in our museum, in our development for future generations. We are in the process of installing a robust, modern, integrated museum software. Research is ongoing. We have built a state-of-the-art archival facility that has capacity to host up to 20 kilometers of records. This project has engaged more than 100 artists. We are actively looking at Pan-African content that is relevant. We have brought back to the fore the repatriation of our stolen material culture, which is in Europe, in the US, and all over. This is going to be a bilingual museum, Your Excellency, giving Kiswahili its center stage. We are going to get green certification, the first of its kind on a museum in the continent. The museum is designed to host 5,000 visitors plus per day. The Garden of the People has capacity for 50,000. When fully operational, we project that 2 million people will be hosted here annually. International, our school children, our citizens, across all the demographics. Your Excellency, the concept derives from our spear, our shield, which are the main features on our coat of arms. A symbol of protection, symbol of unity, and a symbol of defense, not only of nation, but also our freedoms. Sir, the master plan, going back to the 3 significant components of the project, this time starting with the Garden of the People, the garden itself, the ceremonial dais with capacity to host 3,200 people, the garden itself up to 50,000, and the people's entrance, which is an iconic entrance for the people to come into their garden. The Museum of the People, from the Hall of Arrivals all the way to the Children's Museum. Just to highlight a few of the significant galleries, the museum in total has 33 galleries. The Mashujaa Park with the Heroes Boulevard, the Hall of Remembrance where we are seated today, the Tomb of the Unknown Warrior, and the Eternal Flame. This is an artistic that we did before groundbreaking, and this is a drone photo that was taken 4 days ago, just to compare with what the vision was and where we have reached. Sir, I will take you through now the Museum of the People, and in terms of orientation, it starts at number 1 there at the Hall of Arrivals, and goes all the way to the Plaza, Hall of Witness, Tunnel of Martyrs, Hall of the People, Hall of Innovations, Hall of Legends. Very quickly, Plaza of the People is the main orientation outdoor space, grand, and it's a place to sit, to contemplate, to converse, and to learn about the common attributes, the sacrifices, and the valor of our heroes, of our people. That is the plaza as it looks like today. And just to highlight a few of the very significant installations at the Plaza of the People, one of them is the hoisted legendary lion that is on our coat of arms. The reason it is here is to symbolize strength, courage, but most significantly, to warn us that the populations of this animal and many other of our wildlife are in danger. Sir, in this plaza, the soul and spirit of Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi is immortalized in stone as a tribute to his contribution to Kenya's War of Independence. Sir, on this plaza, Mekatilili wa Menza, we have gone to Bamba, we have gone to Bungale, we have gone to Kilifi, we have gone to Kisii, we have gone to Mumias, and finally brought the soul and the spirit of Mekatilili wa Menza to Uhuru Gardens for posterity. Sir, this is the second last very significant installation that we are proposing on in the plaza, and it is about environmental conservation, to send the message that the elephant tusk is only important on the elephant and not as an ornament. Sir, since 1989, Kenya has consistently communicated to the world about our desire to conserve our wildlife. And sir, we have picked ivory ash, the remains from 4 piles, 3 at the Nairobi National Park and 1 from the Tsavo. And the proposal, we are encapsulating these ashes and creating a glass sculpture that really stresses our resolve to conserve our environment. The Peace Unity sculpture forms the last significant sculpture at the Plaza of the People. Just last year, Your Excellency, you led the nation in banning more than 8,700 illegal small arms as a message that the only future we have as a people is that of peace and unity. After we are done with the plaza, sir, the next major gallery in the museum is the Hall of Witness. The Hall of Witness is about the sights and sounds of Kenya. This is the main indoor orientation space. This is where you meet ordinary Kenyans. This is where you meet famous Kenyans. This is where you experience our beautiful beaches, game parks, sunsets, and so on. We then go into the Tunnel of the Martyrs. This is our memorial to each and every Kenyan who has paid the ultimate price for country, not only during the slave times, not only during our war for independence, but also other things like terrorist attacks, assassinations, peace missions, and so on. The Tunnel of Martyr leads into the Hall of the People, which is lit, celebratory, and beautiful, really having light at the end of the tunnel, literally. The Hall of the People is the main orientation space around which every gallery in the museum is organized. In the basement, as you can see, we have number 1 as the Tunnel of Martyrs. We have the Peoples of Kenya. We have an exhibition dedicated to our President Daniel Arap Moi, military heritage, our President Kibaki, the birth of Kenya. On the ground floor, we largely are looking at our struggle for independence, starting with the struggle for independence itself, Rope Gallery, which is a subset of the struggle for independence, the independence itself. Hall of Justice deals with our post-independence journey. Identity Kipande Gallery deals with the question of our identity. The first floor is celebratory. It's about the future, it's about hope, it's about our exploits in the sports field, in the arts, Kiswahili, the making of this museum, and our development, both social, economic, political, and infrastructural. Sir, the peoples of Kenya through time is about our heritage, is about our history, is about our diversity. The President's exhibition is about his life, his youth, his education, but most significantly, his contribution to our country. The military heritage traces our military history from the 1840s to date and hopefully into the future. The big point to make here is that our military did not start with the coming of the white man. We always had traditional defense systems which defended the different communities whenever need arose. Here, we celebrate the life and the contribution of our President Mwai Kibaki for generations to come. The birth of Kenya is a gallery that starts with the early visitors, the traders, the missionaries, the explorers, and the biggest artifact here is the Lunatic Express, where we have put one of the most original of the steam engines that pierced the land all the way from Kilindini to Kisumu. Ground floor galleries, this is the story of our struggle for independence, told from our own lens, looking at the independent schools and their contribution, the independent churches, the Mau Mau, the Lancaster Conference, and everything in between before independence. The Rope Gallery, this is a solemn dedication to the more than 1,000 we have found solid evidence who were killed by hanging because of the state of emergency between 1952 and 1960. A rope is dedicated to each of them as a reparation, as a celebration. We have replicated the gallows. We have brought all the artifacts that relate to this very sad component of our history. Independence Gallery is a celebration looking at the campaigns, the elections, but most significantly, the Independence Day itself. Displayed here also are the actual original instruments that define that independence. The flag that was hoisted on that day, the Constitution, the pen that signed it, the speeches, the audio visuals. The Hall of Justice is about our post-independent journey. The important point to make here is that independence is a moment, but it's also a journey. And since then, we have gone through moments that deserve to be brought here, some of them not as a celebration, but as a warning. It is also our moment to pay our obligations to the truth. And sir, you are very strong on this one, that yes, it happened. The bomb blasts, the terrorist attacks, post-election violence, the agitation for multi-party, but there are also beautiful moments like the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution. All of those will be hosted in the Hall of Justice. Identity Gallery, Kipande, does not answer any question. It asks questions. Kenya is home to people from all over the world. We have Kenyans living everywhere in the world. But what really does it mean to be Kenyan? Beyond the clothing, beyond the nyama choma, what is it in our spirit that makes us Kenyan that we need to build? What is it in our spirit that is unpatriotic that we need to deal with? Those are the questions that the visitor in this gallery will be asked. First floor galleries is our exploits in the sports fields, our exploits in the arts. Hall of Innovations, we are home to some of the most established innovation ecosystems, and the results are out there for the whole world to see. M-Pesa is just one and not the only example. And this hall, the dream is that it could then become a much more robust ecosystem that then brings all these innovation initiatives, accelerates them, incubates them, and hopefully commercializes them to continue building our country. The Hall of Legends is a specific place where we honor and pay tribute to individuals who are sacrificed in the different fields of endeavor for our country. In the outdoors, we have brought the tourist station, one of the first stations in the original line in Promolo. This artifact has been brought here with all its contents, the station master's offices, the furniture, for future generations. It is 120 years old, and it is finally preserved here so that our future generations do not forget. Mount Shengena locomotive, the largest ever produced locomotive in the world, has been brought here for posterity. 250 tons, 40 meters long, and it could carry up to 1,200 tons of cargo. Mount Shengena built this country for 60 years and is finally retired here. We have brought 3 third-class coaches, which we want to turn into a restaurant where Kenyans will not only come and learn their history, but also enjoy the best of the coffee, the food, and the hospitality. Sir, we have also dedicated a presidential library to our founding father so that that history is preserved, and it has been deliberately put next to the Mugumo tree that he planted more than 59 years ago when he led our land to independence. We have brought Mzee Jomo Kenyatta's house from Gatundu, where as President of Kenya, he traveled 70 kilometers every day and back to be with his people, the modesty of it, so that future generations can learn and hopefully appreciate. Children's Museum is one of the critical installations that is going to be in Uhuru Gardens, and its aim is to tell that entire story, but from the eyes of our children. The Garden of the People, this is where our national celebrations, I already gave the statistics, and the picture showing there is a rehearsal just before the last Madaraka Day. Mashujaa Park, Heroes Boulevard, this is a place for reparation where we will celebrate the bravery, the sacrifices of all those who have contributed to our country and also immortalize them. The Hall of Remembrance is where we are seated here. It's a multipurpose hall where lectures, prayers, conferences will be held in Uhuru Gardens. The Heroes Boulevard has the tomb of the unknown warrior, a tribute to all those warriors unknown who fight for Kenya in our classrooms, in our hospitals, in our battlefields, in our schools. It has an eternal flame. It has a wall of honor, and around it, we and future generations will add headstones to just celebrate those who continuously sacrifice for country. Allow me to conclude by saying that there is no development of this kind anywhere in the world. A lot of countries have built grand museums, They have built grand civic centers, but all those have been done at different times in different places. What we have here, the Museum of the People, the Tomb of the Unknown Warrior, the Eternal Flame, in one sacred location, is something to behold. God bless Kenya.
Excellent, sir. May I now play a 10-minute video highlighting the making of this monument this far.
It is a great honor for me to be able today to lead the nation as we commission the Uhuru Gardens National Monument and Museum.
This project has got several built-in galleries as well as facilities for recreation.
So the museum that we have commissioned today will narrate every significant event in our Kenyan history. A history not told by others about us, but a history gathered by Kenyans for Kenyans. We have set in stone, steel, marble, wood and glass, the tale of Kenya's triumphs as well as our tragedies. Yes, these are just materials, but at the end of the day is that our rich history as a nation and the fundamental values that define us that are just exhibited here are eternal to each and every one of us. It is my high privilege and profound honor on the eve of the 59th anniversary of Madaraka Day to declare the Uhuru Gardens National Monument and Museum inaugurated, open, and to call upon those who come to continue this great work and immortalize the past for the benefit of our future. Fellow Kenyans, why did our founding fathers choose Uhuru Gardens as the place to celebrate Independence Day in 1963 and the Republic status in 1964? Why did they want generations to memorize about our history? Apart from being a place of remembrance and healing, this place will be an arena where the past, the present, and the future will converge.
Our beautiful national flag went up to replace the Union Jack forever.
There were a lot of people, and you couldn't say that there was one person or two persons who were against what was happening, the British flag coming down and the Kenya flag going up.
The whole of the people who are celebrating the independence, singing the national anthem, And knowing that I was one of the participants in the composition of the national anthem was overwhelming.
And now it only remains for me to present to you, Mr. Prime Minister, these constitutional instruments which establish Kenya's independence.
Hiki ni kitabu cha kusema wananchi wa Kenya wote wako huru. Wananchi wa Kenya wote wanaishikilia serikali yao kwa mikono yote miwili, mtu akitaka asitake, ni yetu sisi.
Uhuru Gardens was chosen. If you look at Langata Road, it is dotted with various places where the former freedom fighters, specifically the Mau Maus, were enumerated. The declassified information that we got through the cabinet members also stated that the celebrations for the freedom should be in a specific place where the freedom fighters would feel this is now the place where we are going to enjoy our freedom after a long period of humiliation.
It was agreed that it was not going to be so difficult to create a nation out of these diverse groups which had been exacerbated by colonialism, the principle of divide and rule.
The colonial government did not have a very coherent policy on the management of our documentary heritage. You'll also realize that quite a number of those records were also destroyed, sometimes inadvertently and sometimes deliberately.
The date for independence had been fixed and a site was being cleared for a new stadium near the edge of the Nairobi National Park.
Prior to 1963, Uhuru Gardens was already a memorial park, and the idea was in 1966, it was now fully gazetted as a national memorial park. These areas were meant for memory, celebrations, and reflecting on the Kenyan identity as a nationhood. And some of the things that happened with the first president is that he planted a mugumo tree, itself having significance for the African culture. When the second president of the country took over, President Moi, 2 new monuments were put. In 1997, towards December, the whole place was re-gazetted. The 65 acres of the Uhuru Gardens was then re-gazetted as again as national monument. When the 2010 Constitution was unveiled, after the first sentence that honors and acknowledges the supremacy of God, the Almighty, the next actually statement in that preamble is that we are honoring those who struggled heroically for the freedom of this country. And then it says we honor again the diversity of the cultures, religion of the people of Kenya. And then finally, respecting the environment of the country. The 50th anniversary was actually celebrated on these grounds, and His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta addressed the nation from the Uhuru Gardens at midnight, where now Kenya at 50 was celebrated, and he gave further directions that this memorial park needs to be built.
We have been extremely fortunate to be entrusted really to be part of this process for the last 10 years of transforming this hugely significant place into a modern, into a 21st century civic district that celebrates every facet of our being as the Kenyan people.
The project, it has this layer of history and this layer of the Kenyan spirit. You're designing for people to appreciate where they came from, what their stories are, but you're also trying to do it in our own voice as Kenyans.
What we are doing at Uhuru Gardens today is an opening for further things that are to come in terms of showcasing what Kenya has. The Kenyan flag that was raised in 1963 is just one among the 11 million. This is the flag that actually identifies the history of where we've come from in terms of colonialism and then moving forward. The first constitution and the pen are a symbol of what our pride is and what we are as a people and what we've gone through and where we've come from and maybe what we aspire to be in the future. So for us to have those items with us, it means then that history can never be erased.
It's a project that will give a sense of national entitlement, national pride. It's a project that will help sort out some of the issues that we are dealing with as a country. It's a project that is 360 degrees addressing matters to do with culture, matters to do with the nature, and matters to do with history. If we didn't do this, it meant that 20 years down the line, there's some of these things that could have been eroded or done away with.
It has a very special place in our history, in our souls, in our hearts, and should always portray the best, the best that we have.
Renewing and improving our civic district, our sacred place as a people, has brought in the entire government working in a very coordinated way under the leadership of the Kenya Defence Forces, who are the primary protectors of our sovereignty. This project is about protecting the sovereignty of the peoples of Kenya. And I think it is apt, it is right that the Kenya Defence Forces is leading the entire government to realize this for the people of Kenya.
Excellency, having gone through the design framework and video showing how far we've come, allow me, sir, to, in a few minutes, take you through the art and science on how we intend to operate this facility for our people. So, the plan is to operate this in the first 3 years on the medium-term expenditure framework, the MTEF. That's how government plans. So based on that, our short term is running from the financial year 2022-2023. Already, Excellency, we have got out of the 33, we have stood up 16 galleries, which is our initial opening. These galleries are thematically arranged as was given by the architect. In that context, all the galleries in the basement are ready. That is item 1 up to item 7. Excellency, in this context, our plan is to begin with targeted groups. A few groups that will come from August up to November to give feelers, to test our structures, systems, give us feedback on the efficacy of our systems, and if there are any weak areas to address. Your Excellency, towards the end of 2022, we will then be able to have opened our doors to our people and begin to see if what we designed for them works. Fast forward into 2023, Your Excellency, we will have stood up another 6 out of the 33. Therefore, within that time, we will have stood up 22 of them, which is Hall of Legends up to the P58 gallery. The P58 is a gallery that speaks to how this project was conceived and how it has come to be. Your Excellency, coming into the medium term, the financial year 2023 to 24, our biggest highlight is we plan in June 2023 to host the first symposium here. This symposium is focused into addressing the efficacy of building multiple galleries within a museum and monument. We intend, therefore, Your Excellency, to have scholars of repute, to have those who deal in heritage sciences and culture, to come here from all over the world and interrogate if what we've done is viable, if yes, what was right, if not, what could we have done better. This, we think, Your Excellency, will be able to give us limelight into the international museum arena and together with culture. Your Excellency, we cannot run this facility purely on the exchequer. Our plan also is to invite and initiate an endowment fund for the Uhuru Gardens National Monument. Your Excellency, this is borrowed a bit from the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. It's our vision that the corporates in this country will be able to put in seed money that will be ring-fenced and run separate and apart from the daily runnings of the museum. Your Excellency, here we will then invite them to be able to support us to run the Mashujaa Park and especially the Tomb of the Unknown Warrior, because once it begins to grow, we need to have our heroes resting in a place that is well maintained. Your Excellency, towards the long term, that is financial year 2024-2025, we will have stood up all the 33 galleries. And then we can declare that all that was envisaged in the conceptual framework of laying this facility are operational. That brings us that by that time, we will have weaned ourselves off the exchequer bottle. Excellency, it's our intent, therefore, that within the short term, the medium term, and the long term, which ends with financial year 2025, we will be able to attract up to 2 million visitors per year. Because our intent is not the foreign tourists exclusively. We intend to show this place not as an elite facility, but as a facility for every Kenyan to come, experience, to come and feel, and to also interrogate and see if there's an item that speaks to their culture that has been left out here. Your Excellency, may I now go to the planned first opening by showing you who we intend to invite in the immediate. Your Excellency, from August 5th, our plan is to invite the chairman and deans of select universities. This is because we'd like to get the academia buy-in to interrogate what we've done for its facts and records, and also to enrich what we have. Your Excellency, we have picked all the Fridays because some works are still in progress. This will afford us to concurrently get feelers while also achieving the main effort for the present. Your Excellency, 12th of August, we'll invite those who work in the built environment to see if it's viable. Going down to people living with abilities, to check for the amenities, infrastructure, if it works for them, because this facility is all-inclusive. It's for all of us. Excellency, fast forwarding, we'll also be inviting towards the end of August the Minister of Education, and specifically to interrogate how the CBC can dovetail with what we have in this facility. Excellency, I move into September. September, we will invite various community elders from every other community to come and tell us if there's an item from their culture that is very dear and has been left out, and also interrogate what else they feel as a people would clearly speak to them and about them. Excellency, we also intend to invite the Kenya Tourist Board, Brand Kenya, and of Kenya tour operators, because we want to intentionally work with them towards achieving a coherent program on how we can target tourists into this place. That is not haphazard, but is an all-inclusive effort collectively. Your Excellency, working again with the Ministry of ICT to interrogate the viability of the digital platforms that we have, if it is M-Pesa or any other mechanism that we'll have developed. And again, back to the media houses to see if, together with them and the editors, we can create content that can speak to our people within this framework. Your Excellency, we'll also then invite the school children from public schools, primary and secondary, as well as the private schools, to see how then again we can work with them together. Towards the end of it, Your Excellency, we'll invite schools from all over the counties selectively to come and see if it's viable and what it takes to make it better for them to come and experience this facility. Your Excellency, into October, we invite select diplomats as well as the rep from Africa Union together with UNESCO. Your Excellency, we intend again to review what will have been informed by the architects and engineers who we invited earlier in August to come and see if indeed the things they had highlighted are now done. Your Excellency, towards the end of it then, we'll again review with our freedom fighters, our senior citizens, and those living with disabilities to come and see if indeed what they had captured has been remedied. Sir, allow me to quickly take you through the circulation. Once we dispense with this hall and then we have lunch, this is how we will go. This is how I'll take the media through from the Hall of Witness, Tunnel of Martyrs, all the way up to finish, which will be here at the Tomb of the Unknown Warrior. Excellency, finally, may I just highlight what Uhuru Gardens National Monument has picked as its logo. That's our logo, inspired by the Mugumo tree, but we picked an ochre palette, brownish ochre palette, to show the earth colors. But from earth, then the greenness of the leaves will sprout and the tropical sunlight will give it enrichment and it will grow. Sir, we've also picked the tagline to be in Swahili, Bustani, meaning garden. Indeed, it's a garden. And Makavazi, Swahili, for museum. Most importantly is Turathi. We'd like this to be a site of heritage. Hence, we couldn't have gone for any other tagline in any other language but Uhuru Gardens, Bustani, Makavazi, Turathi. Karibuni. Your Excellency, may I now request the CDF to take us through.
Your Excellency, after those two presentations and briefs, it is now time to request our colleagues from the media to clarify any issue that you may have. And you have to also know that we are working within the context of public participation so that you can also buy into this. So let me request whether there are questions, then I can moderate that. The questions can be either asked to me as the chairman of the steering committee of this project, or to our two presenters. Who is going to go first? Where? Oh, okay. Yes, please.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President, for the invitation. My name is George Maringa from KTN News, that is the Standard Group, and my question regards the cost of accessing the museums, because it's a spectacular piece of architecture, the 33 monuments and all. I'm interested in knowing how much Kenyans will be paying to access, to be able to go through this history that we take pride in. Thank you.
Thank you. The director will take that.
Yes, sir. To answer your question, the plan is to work out rates that speak to every demographic. So we will have rates for school children. We'll have rates for non-Kenyan tourists. We also have rates for local adults. These rates will be agreed upon by public participation on what actually we're able to afford and what we're able to sustain. Presently, we are unable to give you a figure in Kenya shillings, but it will be a figure that is manageable by each demographic.
Thank you. Next question. Yes, please.
My name is Shukri Wachu. I'm a freelance journalist and a council member at the Crime Journalists Association of Kenya. So when we were being taken through the thematic areas, you spoke of repatriation of Kenyan artifacts. I just wanted to know the status of some of the artifacts that have been repatriated back to the country. And also noticeably, you said that you're going to engage communities and inquire on which artifacts they would love to feature right here at this center. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I can address myself to that. We haven't had an opportunity to repatriate any, but we have a plan to repatriate some of the artifacts. And the first thing that we're doing is to ratify some legal instruments as a country that will allow us to be able to repatriate some of very, very important artifacts. For example, the man-eaters, the lions, the man-eaters of the Savo that are currently in Chicago Museum. Those are some of them that we want to target. There are a number of artifacts that are within the UK that again we would want to get back. And one of the challenges that we've had is that we have not been able to legalize this within the law. So we're going to have to work with the National Parliament to be able to get a legal framework that will allow us to be able to bring them back. Now, in terms of the county as artifacts, what probably Kano Asilo did not mention is that the teams that have been working here have gone to all the 47 counties to collect artifacts. And so that when you come from Marsabit, for example, or you come from Nakuru or Turkana, you will identify yourself with the museum because all those artifacts belonging to all the counties of this country have been collected here. You must have seen a number of prefabricated facilities out there. They are all full of artifacts that will go into this museum. And that is why it is a museum of the people. You come and find yourself being represented in this museum. Yes, please. The lady.
Good evening, Your Excellency. My name is Leila Mohammed from NTV. My quick question is, when are we expecting for the 16 galleries already ready for Kenyans to start visiting them?
Yeah, thank you. The 16 galleries are ready, and you'll be taken through them today. The issue here is that we have an IT system that we have installed. And what the Kano was explaining is that before you can get a multitude, a critical mass of visitors into the facility, you need to go through a trial period. And that is why we are undertaking to bring in focus groups. You know, first of all, start with the university researchers, taking through the engineers. And within that, we'll be able to know which areas to modify before we can open the gates entirely to a bigger multitude. This museum, I can assure you, when we open, there will be close to probably 300, 500 persons coming. So you need a very robust system. The point of sale, for example, you have to test it. And this initial phase, which is a 3-month phase between now and the 1st of November, it will be a free phase. There will be no charges. These groups will not come here to pay, but the reason we're bringing is to test the systems and processes, and also to get feedback that will be plowed back into the facility. It's a huge facility, as you will see, with the 16 galleries, and therefore we need to make it sure that we're right with the systems and processes. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and the entourage. My name is Francis Mutegi, also from NTV. Mine is first to appreciate that as a person living with disability, I'm glad that people have factored our role in this particular facility and our access as well. My second point is I'm concerned about the futuristic aspects of this facility. Is it going to stop at this point in terms of history? For example, we've not seen a gallery about President Uhuru Kenyatta. How are we thinking about the futuristic aspects of progressing this facility beyond where it is or where it has been envisaged? Thank you.
A very good point, and I think as you will realize, we have a real estate of about 68 acres. So the facility has room for expansion because we realize that even the artifacts themselves will continue to increase. So we have a huge area of land that will be developed as we move forward into the future. Yes, please.
Mheshimiwa Rais, naitwa Kennedy Wandera, ni mwandishi wa habari wa Voice of America. Vilevile mwenyekiti wa chama cha waandishi wa habari wanaoripoti idhaa za kimataifa barani Afrika. Nitatumia Kiswahili kwa sababu ni mojawapo wa nguzo kuu katika uundaji wa kitu hiki. Sasa kuna jamii katika taifa hili ambazo zinathamini sana utamaduni na turathi zao. Kuna uwezekano gani kwamba na utaratibu gani ambao labda mtautumia kuhakikisha kwamba kila jamii inawekezwa hapa ama inahifadhiwa hapa, utamaduni wao unahifadhiwa maeneo haya? Na vile vile pia labda kuna lengo la kuhakikisha kwamba mnagatua kituo hiki katika maeneo mengi ambazo tunasema ni majimbo 47 ya Kenya, ili jamii ambazo haziwezi kufika Nairobi kuangalia turathi za kitaifa zina uwezekano wa kuwa Marsabit au kuwa maeneo ya Budalangi kule, na kuhakikisha kwamba wanaweza kufikia ule utamaduni wao ambao umehifadhiwa na serikali ya kitaifa. Asante.
Asante sana. Nafikiri jambo ambalo umeuliza ni kwamba wale ambao wako jamii ambazo ziko mashinani zitaakilishwa vipi? Mwanzo tumepata kwenda mashinani kuchukua zile turathi zao ambazo tumepata, na ni kweli ya kwamba hazitakuwa zote zimepatikana, na ndivyo tusema ya kwamba tutaleta wale wazee wa vijiji kuja hapa miezi hii mitatu ambayo ni ya jaribio, waweze kuja hapa wakiangalia, watatueleza ya kwamba kuna kitu fulani ambacho tumeacha, na kwa hivyo huu muda tumepata ni mzuri sana, na sio huu muda peke yake, kwa sababu museum hii si ya siku moja, itaendelea kuwa hapa kwa muda. Kwa hivyo tunatarajia kwamba wale ambao watatembea hapa watapatiana mawaidha vile tungeweza kupata zile artifacts zingine ambazo haziko hapa. Yes, please.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Jacinta Motora from Standard Group. And my question is on the Ishaweri house, the Mzee house from Ishaweri. Is it a real house or fabrication of Ishaweri house? And can we have a sneak peek of how it is like? Thank you.
I will not call His Excellency the President to answer that, because I think that's what you're targeting. I'm going to ask the architect to do it.
Thank you, Your Excellency. So we have brought every piece that built that house. We have brought the window the way it was, the door the way it was, the bathroom, the floor, the fireplace, and reconstructed it here. Plus the furniture.
On whether you'll be allowed to go in, I think yes, you'll be allowed to have a sneak view of of that very, very historical house. Any other? Yes, please.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Duncan Haemba. I work with KTN News, the Standard Group. Two quick questions. Bana CDF would want to know, one, the cost. It has a project that has moved with speed, I think with the military precision. How much has it gone into the project? And then in terms of management, initially it was a public facility for recreation. So do we expect it to remain strictly under the military, or it will be military and civilian at the same time? And then a quick one, maybe some were thinking, because we are turning this particular one to be a historic site, any plans to have maybe the founding fathers' remains moved here as well to make it a complete history, or he will remain lying at Parliament buildings? Thank you.
The first question about costs, I think costs cannot be fully articulated at this point, because as you know, this is still work in progress. It is still work in progress. I cannot tell you how much it will cost when we have completed the three galleries that we have. And as you know, and as you will be briefed when you get into the galleries, you will see the complexity of making a single gallery. So that might not be, it will not be wise for me to say the cost at this point, but you surely get the cost once it has been fully operationalized. Secondly, on the question of management of this facility is a multi-agency facility. As I said, the development of this facility brought together MDAs and agencies, including the National Museums of Kenya. And therefore, we see this being run as a national monument and museum, bringing together the whole of government. The Kenya Defense Forces will be there, the National Museums of Kenya will be there, we'll have NPS, everybody will be here to be able to run this facility. And that is the only way it will reflect the face of Kenya. Now, the other question is about now the remains. I think that one is very, Africans, we are very we are very particular about our fallen heroes. And for that, a decision of that magnitude requires to be discussed at family level. But we see a situation whereby we'll have tombstones of those departed and whose remains we cannot bring here. Remember, we've talked about this being the Heroes Park. And there is the tomb of the known warrior, not soldier, a warrior. And warriors are journalists who have paid the heavy price in covering news. Professor Wangari Maathai, an environmentalist. Those heroes of this country that are recognized within a particular framework can decide that their tombstone be placed here while the remains are wherever they are at the moment. So those are the permutations that we are working under. And as you see the curvature of around the eternal flame, all those names of those departed heroes will be enshrined there, okay? And so that anybody coming will recognize that, yes, here we have our heroes who not probably rests physically, but they're recognized physically here. Am I okay with that? Okay, good. Next, please. Thank you very much. I think the ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, have been tired and hungry. And before we can bring this to a close, it is now my duty to request His Excellency the President to address you on this very, very auspicious day. Your Excellency, sir.
Asante CDF, please be seated. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. And let me begin by apologizing for coming later than I was expected to, but as you all know, huu ni muda wa mambo mingi. So let me just say that today we begin, as you have heard from all the presenters today, our stakeholder validation process, as we actually begin the process of operationalizing this Uhuru Gardens National Monument and Museum. So I'm happy to join all of you, especially members of the media who are the first focus group to be invited, and as you've heard, other focus groups will also be invited in the days, weeks, and months ahead to help us with the validation process and to correct and help straighten areas that may need, but also begin the process of public awareness and explaining to Kenyans what this place is all about. A place for us to talk of our rich history, our culture, our traditions. A place where we shall celebrate the good. We shall see the bad as it was. It's part of our history. We can't run away from it. And remember our ugly, so that we hopefully shall never repeat our ugly again. So it will be the face of who we are, what we've been, what we've gone through. It'll also be the place that shall be the custodian of all our historical, our cultural artifacts, memorabilia of all sorts, a place where various audiovisual stories shall be, so that you don't have to depend on people like me standing on a podium and lying, and they were never there. Mtu nasikia mtu anaongea, mimi acha niwaambie za maumau, mimi namwambia ya hii, na mtu hata hakuwa amezaliwa, lakini bado anakuambia najua. And it'll also tell us, you know, how our country has been birthed, shaped, and where we are. And hopefully it'll be a place, especially for you as media, to validate your stories. You know, not to depend on what Uhuru has told you. Not to depend on what so-and-so has said. Come see for yourself, verify your history, and be able to report factually, based on facts, not based on hearsay, based on facts. And this, I believe, hopefully, will also enrich your profession and professionalize your profession. You're not just rumor mongers, but you're talking about facts. Huh? And you have things to back those facts up. And this is something that has missed in this country, unfortunately, for a very long time. Yeah? You depend on individuals who want to put things for their own, anyway, you're watching, and you. So, I do believe that once this place is fully operational, it will host many thousands of visitors. It will help us identify our Kenyanness. It will help us identify our diversity, because we are diverse. But that's a beautiful thing also. It will help us be able to celebrate each other's cultures. It will help us be able to understand our different cultures a little bit more, and hopefully understand that it is a mix of all of these things that makes us Kenyan. That's what makes us Kenyan. And it is then from there that you get pride in being who you are. In a very short space of time, and I want to thank, because many may not even know how we actually ended up in starting. And maybe for the first time I can say how we ended up here and how we ended up starting and agreeing, and I want to thank all those who I was together with. But there was a time when we realized we were going to have, I won't call it a crisis, but life as it takes its toll. And we were asking ourselves many questions at the time. If this was to happen, what would happen? If this was to happen, how would we manage it? What would we do? Because as a country, we never had those kind of thoughts and plans. And I remember the day when we started, it was a weekend, a Saturday, with the then CDF, who was General Mwadede, and his deputy, General Kiboshi. And we discussed, and we were thinking, and we were thinking. And we said, let's go and look around. So one of the places we said, oh, let's go and see that place. When was the last time you were there? When was the last time? I've not been there since the 50th. Oh, and you? Yeah, even me, I've never been back. The most unfortunate part is when we came, we decided we were just going to drive. I decided I was going to be the driver. So we came, got to the gate on what was supposed to be a public place. Found a fellow there at the gate. And his first question, when I rolled down my car window, his first question to me was, mnataka masaa ngapi? So it goes to show the kind of activities that were happening in this. So unaangalia mtu unamuuliza masaa ngapi ya kufanya, unaingia masaa ngapi? Saa moja, nusu saa. Kawambia sisi wengine ni wazee bwana, we may need a whole day. But anyway, and it was really just a place that was a mess. And we all agreed it was a shame. At the place where we celebrated not only our independence, but a place where many thousands of our people were incarcerated and died, has actually been turned to something that was very unfortunate, let me just say, very, very, very unfortunate. And we decided there is no better place than to go back to the reasons why those of our forefathers decided that this was to be the independent site. They were right then, and it must be the site that should host our history, our memory, and becomes the core of when we want to ask ourselves who we are. Let's come here and ask ourselves. Let's come here and see who we are. Let's come here and know where we've come from. And we decided we'd go all the way back into history. And when we did decide that, we came across and we said, you don't reinvent the wheel. There was a time many years ago when there was actually a competition held to set up a facility, but nothing ever moved. So I told Mother, go and look for that young man who said won that competition. So he comes back to me and he tells me, I found him, but he's refused to come. So I said, you go back to him and tell him it was not a request. Because if he refuses to come, we shall find him and he'll still come. And then Wasilwa comes and he looks at me and he's looking at me from a distance. This fellow, I asked him, why did you refuse to come? You people are just liars. You've used me and you've never even paid me what you pay us. No, just bring, but anyway, we went through. And let me say, from the very onset, it's been a great pleasure working with this young man. And congratulations, he's a wonderful guy. Yeah? And he deserves congratulations because he's created something absolutely magnificent, and I'm grateful to him. And thank you for your trust. Na nafikiri tulikulipa jamani ya doya. So truly grateful for that, and that's why we said we want to begin this. It's a work in progress, as CDF here has told you. It's not something that we finish today, tomorrow. It's something that shall continue with refinement as we move with every day. Yeah? But hopefully remain with that one basic element of being the custodian of who we are as a people. I don't want to repeat all that CDF has already said. Kenyans are asking, when will we be given an opportunity to come in and to go? But as with any institution such as this, and you want to do it and you want to run it professionally, it's going to take time, because then there are processes that you go through. You have your professionals, you have your intellectuals, you have your historians, you have those of our forefathers who are still alive. You want them to go through so that, is there anything that they feel is missing? Yeah? We have you, media, and that's what I'm saying. You are the first focus group. You've come here for a specific reason, you know. Maybe there will be ideas and views that you'll be able to share with people and to share with those who are involved to make it better. But our hope is that within the period of time that Colonel Opio has already mentioned to you, we shall be able to be open to the public. We shall be able to have it now run and managed in a manner that the public can access. But we don't also want to rush it, because yes, it's there, but it needs its process as any professional museum requires, so that you are 100% sure that what you're doing is right. Yeah? You may find an old man say, no, that outfit that you are depicting there, of that kind of warrior, no, the dress was this, mume mix wrongly, mumefanya hivi. We also have, as we know, we are also doing an environmental side. We want to ensure, we're capturing all the fauna, anything that is indigenous to Kenya, our trees, our flowers, our shrubs. Is there anything missing? You know, we don't want to come and say, and then somebody says, lakini hii hakuna. Yeah, there's some old men from other places where artifacts we don't have. We need to go to them, collect, and be able to say that we have new communities that I'm proud to say we have made Kenyans. We have now Kenyans of Makonde ancestry from Mozambique. They are part of us now. They also need to be reflected here. How did they come here? How did they end up being naturalized as Kenyans? We have people who come from Rwanda, who were escapees in the early days of the 60s when they were fleeing the civil war there, and are now fully integrated in places like Eldoret and other places. They are a part of us. They need to be reflected here. Yeah? We have our Zimbabweans who are just down the road here, who also came in the 60s. They are part of us. We need their history also, and they need to come in. Yeah, they are now naturalized, they are Kenyans. Their history also needs to be told. How do they come here? How do they end up settling here? How do they end up being here? Yeah? We have our Arab partners, we have our Omanis, we have our Indians, we have our Pakistanis, all of them. They're all part of this wonderful story of Kenya. And every community that makes up Kenya needs to be able to see themselves proudly for all they are, for the difficulties they've gone through, for the hardships they've gone through, for the great things that they have done. This is a place where we don't want to hide anything. We want to be free. Yeah? So that especially nyinyi don't have to go making up stories. Kujeni mujue. Yeah? The truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. And hopefully at the end of the day, you will also learn that it doesn't always have to be bad news, that you have to write bad news to sell. You can also write positive stories about your country, and it sells. You're part of this country. You're part of this country. It's not just the shilling you get from selling your news. You're part of this country. And you need to tell, just like this facility will do, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If it's good, be proud of it, celebrate it, show it. If it's bad, say it. If it's ugly, say it. Every day you just want to look for a sensational story. And then you look at the story, the story, the headline, two different things. But it's very sad. But it's hopefully a place like this will also inspire you to do those things, like all countries do. Once you know who you are, once you're proud of who you are, once you are able to acknowledge that no human being is perfect, then you will be able to celebrate the great things and talk about the bad things, but also, because that's how our country is, like a human being, that's how we move forward. But we can't always be telling our people, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. Then where is inspiration? Where do you get kids then who want to become... That's how you create migrants. Because a child there is like, there's nothing I can do here. The best thing for me is everything outside is better than what I have at home. So you've got to be able to show, because they are, as much as we have challenges, but they are bright spots that can inspire, that can give hope, that can encourage, that can build, that can make great people. You know what I mean? Yeah? They are there. And you just need to bring that out and tell the truth as it is. There's no shame in that. So we will continue to do that. And we are also hopeful that the next government will understand where we were coming from and be able to continue and push that. Because history doesn't end, it is just told. And hopefully we will move from that aspect of being a country where we depend on oral history. And oral history was good at one stage when we were civilized. But since the Mzungu came, we became uncivilized. And lies become the truth. So we need now to actually record so that we are able to have institutional memory as we move forward. So not only will this give us an opportunity to learn, but like I also said, going forward, we also want it to be a facility that will provide leisure and recreation for our people as well. So it's not just a learning facility, but a place where our people can also enjoy themselves. I was very happy when we came here for the air show and to see almost 30,000 people and cars parked all along the road, and it was a wonderful day, kids all over the place. So it shouldn't just be a learning place, but it should also be a place where Kenyans can find time to come and enjoy, and also a place for us to host and hold our national celebrations, to remind us of who we are. So as we work towards the full operational status, which is scheduled, as you've heard, at the early part of November, we hope that those who come in will continue with this. And I conclude once again by thanking you all for finding time. I apologize for coming late, like I said, but hopefully here you are. Help us build a place where through audio, video, culture, print, online, we can all tell a true story of our country and who we are, and be proud of who we are, and learn from our mistakes, and do better, and give hope and encouragement for future generations. For all who have been involved, from KDF, national museums, National Archives, National Police Service, KWS, Kenya Forestry Service, wote ambao wamehusika, Cabinet Office and the records there, all who have been involved. Hongera sana jameni. Prisons, ule mtu ndio ametoa record zote za wale watu ambao wamenyongwa, walifanywa nini. Kila mtu ame contribute yake kuja kulete, ndio Wakenya waweze kuelewa na wajue yale ambaye yametendeka, yale yamefanya, yeah. And I truly, to our historians, mzee wangu, asante sana babu, Dr. Spelling, I can see you there, asante sana, hongera na pongezi, yeah. So to our academicians also who have been heavily involved, we are truly grateful for your contribution. And I do hope that it's not ending here. You will continue until you see this thing fully operational. Asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki jameni. Sorry, one more thing before we break. Najua mko na njaa kwa sababu nimechelewa, lakini CDF naomba kwa sababu mimi lazima nirudi kule. Naomba tuende tutembee kidogo, yeah? And don't worry, you can hold yourselves for one more hour, because I can assure you that the lunch stroke dinner that this gentleman will offer you will be out of this world. So ningeomba tuende tutembee, si ndio? Alafu don't worry, huyu atawachunga, mtaenda manyumbani, wale wako na mabibi mseme chakula wacha kando, wale wako na mabwana mtawaambia pikeni yanu, sisi tumekula. But I would plead with you that you allow me, let's go, we see, then I leave you in the hands of the CDF. Thank you very much.
She said that Valentina isn't Mr. Camilo's daughter, but Mr. Adrian's.
You wouldn't have a relationship with Gonzalo Barrac. If I want to, I can have you kicked out onto the streets.
I want to have a paternity test done. I want to know who Valentina's father really is.
The judge might even order you to let Valentina go and live with him.
But I am her mother!
I know, sweetie, and so does everyone else.
Oh, I hope he takes that kid.
See how concerned